Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskar Nanam Deva Narotamam Devam Param Krishna Punya Shana Kirtana Sudanta Stovadani Nastapeshwara So welcome everybody. Am I being heard? Is loud? Okay, so thank you for having me over. It's a pleasure to be here back. It's a highlight of my visit to Bangalore. Every time I come to Bangalore, to come to the center is like a culmination of makes me very happy because the devotees are always smiling here, always very enthusiastic, and it's always nice to be in the association of devotees. So today's verse, I've been asked to speak on Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 1. These are Lord Rishabh's teaching to his sons. So this verse is absolutely a very, very important verse. The reason this verse is very important, this lecture, Prabhupada has given almost 5 lectures on this verse in different places. Starting from, he's given almost 5 lectures in English, starting from 1969 all the way up to 76. Prabhupada has given 5 lectures on this verse in various places, London, Vrindavan. Vrindavan, he did 2 days lecture on this verse alone, 2 days lecture. Then Stockholm, Bombay, Hyderabad. So he's and then he gave 3 lectures in Hindi on this thing. How many of you listen to Prabhupada lectures regularly? Good. You should try to. You'll find it very interesting. You will find it very interesting to hear these lectures and how Prabhupada deals with this verse in very different ways. That is what makes Bhagavatam so interesting, because we know, for example, we know from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who managed to speak the Atmaram verse in so many different ways. Same thing, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was able to take one verse and speak on it for 30 days, the same verse again and again and again. And each time it was completely new. So the same people who are attending can't say, oh, I heard it before, There's no heard it before, because Bhagavatam can be always new. The more life experiences you have, the the verses will start. You will experience that also if you read Bhagavad Gita. When you're 20 years old, you read Bhagavad Gita. When you're 25 years, you read the same Bhagavad Gita. When you're 30 years old, you read the same Bhagavad Gita. Keep on, get newer and newer. Because what happens is these literatures, these shastras are supposed to be living in the sense that they give you new meanings based on your own life experiences. Now, somebody might be a brahmachari, they have their own experience. Somebody else might be a householder without children, they might be having their own experience. Somebody might be a householder with children, they have their own experience. So each one has an experience, and when you tie it with these experiences, then you find that these scriptures are speaking in a very unique way. It's personal to you and it's very unique to you. So that's what makes these scriptures so powerful. So I was this is a study from my own study. When I was told that this is a verse that I would be asking to speak on. So when I was I just decided to look at what Prabhupada was saying on Zoom, and I looked at all the nine lectures that he was saying. So very fascinating how he deals with it in very different ways. The same verse. So it's a good exercise and just to see how Prabhupada. What did you think? Oh, okay. Thank you. Shishi Gandharvika Vidada Shishi Gandharvika Pakistanta Saraswati Sweda So now what happens is so it's interesting to just we try to approach the verse in one way today, and it's a little different. As a precursor, what happened in this verse, we see that I think I'll come to the lecture a little later. So let's do this verse for this purpose, and then we'll go on. Rishabha Uvacha Mayam Deho Devajam Dehude Mayam Deho Devajam Mayam Deho Devajam Dehude Mayam Deho Ashtan Naman Anhate Vibhujam De Ashtan Naman Naman Anhate Vibhujam De Ashtan Naman Tapo Divyam Putraka Yena Sattvam Tapo Divyam Putraka Yena Sattvam Tapo Divyam Putraka Yena Sattvam Tapo Divyam Sudye Yasmat Brahma Saukyam Purantam 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 Rishabha Uvacha Maya De Putraka, my dear sons, Ena, by which Sattvam, the heart, to get become purified. Yasmat, from which Brahma Saukyam, spiritual happiness. Two, certainly, Anantam, translation and proper Krishna covers the Prabhupada please hear. Lord Rishabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded his human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotion service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Corporate question of Prabhupada. In this verse, Lord Rishabdev tells his sons of the importance of human life. The word Deha refers to anyone who accepts a material body, but the living entity who is awarded the human form must act differently from animals. Animals like dogs and hogs enjoy sense gratification by eating stool. After undergoing severe hardships all day, human beings are trying to enjoy themselves at night by eating, drinking, having sex, and sleeping. At the same time, they have to properly defend themselves. However, this is not human civilization. Human life means voluntarily practicing suffering for the advancement of spiritual life. There is, of course, suffering in the lives of animals and plants, which are suffering due to their past misdeeds. However, human beings should voluntarily accept suffering in the form of austerities and penances in order to attain the divine life. After attaining the divine life, one can enjoy happiness eternally. After all, every living entity is trying to enjoy happiness, but as long as one is engaged in the material body, he has to suffer different kinds of misery. A higher sense is present in the human form. We should act according to its superior advice in order to attain eternal happiness and go back to Godhead. It is significant in this verse that the government and the natural guardian, the father, should educate subordinates and raise them to Krishna consciousness. Devoid of Krishna consciousness, every living being suffers in this cycle of birth and death perpetually. To relieve them from this bondage and enable them to become blissful and happy, Bhakti Yoga should be taught. A foolish civilization neglects to teach people how to rise to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. Without Krishna consciousness, a person is no better than a hog or a dog. The instructions of Rishabdev are very essential at the present moment. People are being educated and trained to work very hard for sense gratification, and there is no sublime in life. A man travels to earn his livelihood, leaving home early in the morning, catching a local train, and being packed. Everybody understands this, right? I can see all of the laughter. It's all your condition. Very good. A man travels to earn his livelihood, leaving home early in the morning, catching a local train, and being packed in a compartment. He has to stand for an hour or two in order to reach his place of business. Then again, he takes a bus to get to the office. So this is not over. Train is not over. You need a bus also. And then walk from the bus stop in order to reach. Then he has to take a bus again to get to the office. At the office, he works hard from 9 to 5. That's not correct. He works from 8 to 8. 9 to 5 was in those days. 1960s when Prabhupada wrote this purpose, it was 9 to 5. But now it's 8 to 8, or even 8 to 10 o'clock in the night. So he works 9 to 5. Then he takes 2 or 3 hours to return home. After eating, he has sex and goes to sleep. For all this hardship, his only happiness is a little sex. And Maitonari Grahamedi Sukam Tucham. Rishabh clearly states that human life is not meant for this kind of existence, which is enjoyed even by dogs and hogs. Indeed, dogs and hogs do not have to work so hard for sex. A human being should try to live in a different way and should try not to imitate dogs and hogs. The alternative is mentioned. Human life. The alternative is mentioned. Human life is meant for tapasya, austerity and penance. By tapasya, one can get out of the material clutches. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, devotional life, his happiness is guaranteed eternally. By, by taking to Brahma Bhuvata, by taking to Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, one's existence is purified. The living entity is seeking happiness life after life, but he can make a solution to all his problems simply by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Then he immediately becomes eligible to return home back to Godhead. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma Karma Chame Devyam, Evam Vedi Tattvataha, Tattva Reham Bhagam Janma, Mighty Mam Iti Sajana. One who knows the constant nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. We saw the pulpit and everybody is laughing, so we know this condition. So nice to see you all. Nice to see the room full of from all the centers. This is like the annual, gathering of the tribes. In America, we have what is called native Indians. They're called Red Indians, native Indians, we call them. And there are the various tribes that are there. And they come together once in a way to have a powwow. They come and they worship like this from all the centers of ISKCON Whitefield. It's nice to see all you back. And it's also nice to see that you have come out of the COVID mentality. Because the COVID mentality started getting us into the space of doing everything on Zoom, everything became online, and even our classes and everything went online. But I don't know if you notice this that online, how many of our classes we do online and how many of our teachers we listen online, not the same. We are social animals. We're meant to be with each other. We're meant to. You're not supposed to stare into a computer and look at it all day and then use the but person that because Krishna consciousness that we go blind. And one more problem that COVID had was very interesting. The problem that COVID had was that now you didn't have to wear your dhoti, you could lay in your bed. And I'm sleeping in a bed and I get darshan of Radha Shamsundar in Vrindavan. All I have to do is open my laptop and I don't even have to brush my teeth. I don't have to think. I can give nice devotee without doing anything. So COVID is a very on one hand it was very good. It's called coronavirus. Actually speaking, it is people did not know what virus it is. It is coronavirus, not coronavirus. It was coronavirus because what happened is that virus actually got everybody thinking again. Till then, people were thinking that this world is permanent and full of happiness. Everything is great. Eat, sleep, mate, and depend, and everything's happy. All is fine. When the coronavirus happened, then everybody started thinking, "Oh man, I can die any minute. I can die." So suddenly, death became an important part. That is how many people will remember death. Nobody wants to remember death. Everybody wants to be positively engaged. So I thought so everybody started going to temples. Everybody started listening to Bhagavad Gita. Everybody, people left. There were no colleges anyway. So what do you do? Go to Bhagavad Gita. So it was a good thing. A lot of know, and find out how to get ready for training. So it was very good. But on the other hand, also at the same time, what happened is it
No audio, Prabhu.
everything on Zoom, you don't have to go anywhere. So, I mean, and I keep getting these links, and I click on the links, and every 1 hour I'm listening to Katha. So I asked her, has it improved your life? She said, no. Because you keep on listening, when you keep listening haphazardly, one devotee will speak on one verse in the second canto, another devotee will speak another verse in 10th canto, third devotee will speak a verse on 5th canto, and you haphazardly, you constantly listening to all these Bhagavad Katha. It becomes, you get confused. You become which point or what. I think some devotees said some point, I don't, yeah, at that point that was said thing. But if you notice, when we do this haphazard hearing, haphazardly we keep hearing this, little bit there, little bit there. What happens is it just becomes information. And when it just becomes information, it doesn't actually transform our lives. On the other hand, Prabhupada had always suggested that even if you take one sloka of Bhagavatam, like this sloka, for example, or in Bhagavad Gita, I just sit and study that again and again, just sit and study. And in the 12th kind of Bhagavatam, it is said, Shrinvan Supatan Vicharano. Shrinvan Supatan Vicharano. Shrinvan means hear. When you hear, then you study the Bhagavatam verse or Bhagavad Gita verse. Shrinvan Supatan, yourself's own self-study, and Vicharano, and think about it. How does it affect my life? How does this work? How does this verse affect my life? Or how is my life being affected by this verse? Or how true is it and all that? So that is how when you study Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, then what happens is we become a student. And when you become a student, then you go from one topic to another topic to another topic. And then as the topics are important to us, we choose the topics, study those topics. What does Bhagavatam say on family life? What does Bhagavatam say on how I should live my occupation? How should I do my occupation duties? What does Bhagavatam? When we study Bhagavatam in that way, then Bhagavatam becomes actually a personal friend. It becomes a personal guide. And that is very, very important for us to, if we want to actually progress in a systematic way. We call this the science of devotional service. Science means there's a progressive way. It's not haphazard. So that is something that we have to adopt or think. Prabhupada, he was very optimistic, and he said that we should spend at least 2 or 3 hours every day to study Bhagavatam. I think if we can spend even 20 minutes, we're lucky. If we spend 20 minutes studying Bhagavatam, we are like demigods, margins. We have Swargaloka, residents of Swargaloka. If we spend 20 minutes, forget about 2 hours. The Prabhupada is on a different world altogether. He kept saying 2 hours, 2, 3 hours. And that is minimum, by the way, not maximum. Same thing with our chanting. Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds, for us maximum 16 rounds. The minute we finish 16 rounds, keep the beats aside and say, okay, now what should we do? Now let's start our life. That's all we do. The 16 rounds are done. Those of you who attended, you have been very fortunate in the last 1 week that you have had a long association with Krishna Prabhu. And some of you may have attended his japa class thing, how to improve your japa. I hope your japa is improved since then. Or he might have to come in every 6 months to do it. You'll have to tell him to come and choose a japa retreat every 6 months, because within 3 months would have forgotten how to do the japa. Then also he spoke very nicely about how your mood should be when you on one level, if you notice, if you've been part of Gurujan Prabhu's classes, you would have noticed, on one level, many of us would have read the Krishna book, and we would have read Bhagavatam, and we would have also read what you call Akrura going to Vrindavan. And it would have been for us, Akrura went to Vrindavan, he was thinking of Krishna, that's it, okay, kaam ho gaya. So let's go and have some prasadam now. See, when I had joined the New Zealand temple in 91. When I joined New Zealand, I joined a temple, I joined Krishna consciousness in New Zealand in 91. That time what happened is, as brahmacharis, as you know, I was not a brahmachari then, I was already married, but I was living in the temple because it's a farm community. I was living there. So we had two mantras actually that we were thing. One mantra was for sleeping and one mantra was for waking up. Can anybody guess what those two mantras are? We had one mantra for sleeping and one mantra for waking up. Huh? No, what's a mantra for waking? Sleeping? Huh? What? You're not pure devotees. If you notice, no, this mantra doesn't mean you're not pure devotees. The mantra for sleeping is Om Namo Bhagavate. Why? The minute that mantra started, this person will speak for 45 minutes. I mean, what does this person say? Krishna, the Supreme Personality. It's time to chant Hare Krishna. Your human life is summoned. How many times I've heard this? Summoned, it's enough time to sleep. Okay. In different ways, the same thing is being said. There's nothing new. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva is a mantra for sleeping. What's the mantra for waking up? Not everybody. That looks like you practice that quite well. That I think you practice. That's nice. The other one you don't practice because they're all nice devotees. You sincerely attend classes. That's good. So one half of the thing that you don't do, that's good. So that's the thing. So what happens is that if we don't, so same way, this verse is very important because in this verse, what happens is Prabhupada, it's interesting in Stockholm. There are two places I find it I found very interesting points to which are coming for us. In Stockholm, when Prabhupada gives this lecture, he actually pays gratitude for all the people who have come. And it's nice to see this. And those of you on Zoom, please come and attend the programs in person. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen. If at all you get Krishna virus, you will not get any other virus. So please come and mix with other devotees, have some social interaction. We all don't be isolated. So it's nice if you can come and attend and the devotees can mingle with each other. So what happens is in Stockholm, he talks about he prays, the devotees are sitting, he says, thank you for coming and thank you for taking the time out in spite of all your busy schedule for coming and joining Krishna consciousness. He's very grateful for that. And then he talks about preaching. I'll come to that a little later, but that's one thing. In the Hyderabad lecture, Prabhupada goes in a different direction. Prabhupada is talking to Indians. He says, Indians, this is the most important thing you should do in your life. The most important thing you should do in your life as Indians, because first of all, to get a human birth is rare. To get a birth in India is even rare. That we don't, and how this doesn't connect with us, I'll let you know that later. But to get a birth in India is even rarer. And you as Indians should make your lives perfect and distribute it to others. So Prabhupada goes in two directions. In Stockholm, he says, thank you for coming, by taking your time. And here he says, as Indians, you have to do this. So these are 2 points that are very interesting Prabhupada with in his 2 different lectures. So anyway, coming to this verse itself, let's try to understand it from the angle of how does it matter, how is it important to us, and hopefully during the question and answer session, we'll get into more detail. The first thing is, Prabhupada has spoken. Let's try to go through this line by line and see how to understand this verse. In this verse, Lord Rishabhdev tells the sons about the importance of human life. The word Dehavak refers to anyone who accepts a material body. Interesting point. Now, how many of you think that accepting a material body is an option? Accepting a material body is an option. The reason I ask this, you think it's an option?
Voluntarily we move from the gratification direction.
Okay. That's good. That's exactly. So what happens is, most of us are born, either we are born and brought up in Bangalore or Hyderabad or Delhi or wherever we are born and brought up. Everybody and everything we have been seeing from our childhood till now is only people with material bodies. So when someone like this, when Prabhupada says something that those who they have work refers to those, anyone who has accepted a material body, I'm speaking. That's everybody. What do you mean? But he's talking from another angle. He's a Nitya Siddha coming from Goloka Vrindavan. He's coming from Vaikuntha plan. What percentage of people have accepted material bodies and what percentage of people don't have material bodies? We think that 8 billion people in the human race that we know, we have 80 billion people on this planet, plus in the universe, plus all the ants and things. Feels like unlimited people have accepted material bodies, but really speaking, the people who have accepted material bodies are very, very small percentage of the total jivas. The jivas which have accepted material bodies are a very, very small percentage. So when we look at it from that angle, then we should say a pure devotee is not rare. A conditioned soul is very rare. A pure devotee, obviously pure devotee is only one Guru, only my Guru Maharaj, only 1, 2, 3, 5 people I can count who are pure devotee. No. Pure devotees are plenty. The problem is we only see them rare. Conditioned souls are rare because to get conditioned, for soul to get conditioned, you have to put a lot of effort. You have to put a lot of effort to get a condition. And that effort has been being put for 8.4 million lives. So therefore, we think it's normal. But 8.4 million lives it takes to get conditioned. So the conditioned soul is very rare. I was just going to say A1D, but then I realized I'm in Bangalore. A1D is Telugu, so it's not Kannada. So anyway, so conditioned soul is very rare, actually speaking. So therefore, it's interesting to see the word Deha Bhak refers to anyone who accepts a material body, but the living entity who is awarded the human form of life must act differently from animals. Now, okay, first of all, it's rare to get a body among the billions and billions, trillions of living entities, jivas that are there. Most of them are Nitya Siddhas, living in Goloka, Vrindavan, Vaikuntha planets, having pastimes with Krishna and his expansions, Narayana, etc. Only few people, only a few percentage are in the conditioned world in this universe. And that itself is a big quantity for us. Among those things, it's even rarer to get a human birth. And it is said that human birth is not meant for sense gratification. Now, the problem here is this. There's a slight problem. What is it? They're making a differentiation between human birth and animal birth. How many of you are already falling out of sleep? Because this statement, the first time you met a devotee somewhere on the street with a book or anything, the first thing you hear is human birth is different from animal birth. That's the first thing you hear. And that's the last thing you hear. And chanting Hare Krishna is important. And every time you have to keep hearing this, but please think about this carefully. What are the 4 activities that are common to all jivas? Wonderful. And at the same time, what is the thing that we are constantly pursuing?
Different.
We are constantly doing these 4 things only. From the time we wake up to the time we sleep, what does Sadhu say to each one? My sleep, I couldn't sleep last night, I can't come for Mangalarti. I couldn't sleep, so I can't come for Mangalarti. And my mat is not okay. I need a new mat to sleep on. And eating, sleeping, and then I don't know if I'll get married or not married. I don't know. And if I get married, I don't know. The people who are not married want to get married. People who are married don't want to be married. What a problem you have. So the people who are not married say Hare Krishna, Hare Bhai, Hare Bhai, Hare Bhai. And the people who are married, Hare Sannyas, Hare Sannyas. People used to finding. And then the point is we're chanting and we're still not happy. We're still struggling. What is the problem? So that's why. That's because what's happened is, what is happening is, Vyasadeva wrote this verse. What motivated Vyasadeva to compile Bhagavatam even after he compiled the entire thing? He compiled the entire Vedas and everything. Is this verse? Bhautika cha bhavana shakti rasam cha tatkritam pashadanana nisatvam durmedam rashita ayusaha. What does that mean? Bhautika nam cha bhavana says that when we are engaged with the material energy, Bhautik is material energy. Now, material energy, you have to keep in contact, you have no choice. Once you've accepted, like your Prabhupada saying, once you've accepted the material body, you have to stay in material contact. But bhava is important. Original Prabhu explained that during the thing, the Ishtarupa and Bhava Rupa. So bhava is a very important thing. What happens is when you're absorbed in material energy, absorbed in your job, absorbed in making money, to pay rent and all that, when the absorption is very much with the family problems, absorbed with family problems, all these things, then what happens is Shakti Rasam Chatkritam. Shakti Rasam means not the physical strength, the internal vitality, the joyousness, the sense of well-being, the sense of, actually life is okay, life is good, the well-being gets sucked. So Bhautika Nam, the very nature of material energy is to suck the vitality out of you, to suck whatever little vitality you have. Bhautika Nam cha bhavanam shakti rasam chatkritam. So you get the vitality sucked out. Now when the vitality is sucked out, what happens? Ashadadana. Ashadadana means
Faithlessness.
Faithlessness. Ashadadana means faithlessness. We start developing faithlessness. So then what happens is we see no ray of hope anywhere. So when a devotee will come and say, Mataji, Prabhuji, just chant Hare Krishna, you'll be happy. Chant and be happy. Oh, how do you mean chant? It can't be that simple. How can it be so simple? Just chant and be happy. Doesn't happen. So faithlessness. We develop faithlessness. We do everything. You say chant, chant, chant. What do people say? Can't. Can't. Hare can't. At least they do that, at least Hare they can't, they do that, at least they say Hare, so that means some benefit, some akyata sukriti will be there. So, Ashradana, Nisatvam. Now, when you're faithless, what happens is Nisatvam. Nisatvam means you become impatient. So now what happens is you want immediate solution, instant coffee. You don't want filter coffee, you want instant coffee. You want everything instant. So what happens is, Ashdana, faithlessness leads to impatience. You have no ability to tolerate, no ability to let life. I lose a job, immediately, oh my God, what is happening? No, Krishna will take care of it. He's feeding the birds, he's feeding the trees, he's feeding even the dog on the street. Why will he not feed you? You are coming to him and say, my Lord, please help me. I need some job to pay rent or whatever. He will help you. But to have that faith is very difficult because the material energy is so strong that faithlessness is a natural condition. Faith is a very artificial condition in our current state. So this tattva, we become impatient. When we become impatient, then what happens? Durmeda, we lose our intelligence. Durmeda means wrong intelligence. So now what does wrong intelligence mean? Wrong intelligence means that I need 1 lakh of rupees, to pay for this, whatever. So now what I'll do is, somebody will come and say, you invest in this scheme, 1,000 rupees, you get 1 lakh rupees in 2 years. And we go invest and we lose the 1,000 rupees also. We don't get the 1 lakh, but we lose 1,000 rupees also. So not only whatever, at least the 1,000 rupees I had, that was mine. I go and invest with this one or this one. I said, sir, I don't know, I make 10 lakhs out of this 1,000 rupees. You give me 1,000 rupees. I give it to him. He eats it and he goes to sleep and I lose my 1,000 rupees. So then we become less intelligent and therefore we find all kinds of funny solutions. And finally, Rasita. So now what happens is because of these decisions, we're living, we're breathing, we're talking, but we are not alive. We're living, but we're not alive. There's a difference between living and alive. We're actually living, breathing, everything, but we're not actually from inside. That fire is not there. The fire of of the pure spirit soul is not being exhibited. It's covered by all the smoke that is there called the material energy. So here he says, animals like dogs and hogs enjoy sense gratification by eating stool. After undergoing severe hardships all day, human beings are trying to enjoy themselves at night by eating, drinking, having sex, and sleeping. At the same time, they have to properly defend themselves. However, this is not human civilization. Do you have 761 with you? 761. Prahlad Maharaj states the same thing. I'll have the devotees participate in this a little bit. 761.
You are
And you can put it on if you want. 761. Because since we have a screen, we can follow this nicely. What does Prahlad Maharaj say? Somebody want to read it?
One who is, Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary, like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection.
Yeah. So if you look at it, and if you let me see this. Find out. Can you read the first two lines of purport also?
The whole purpose of Vedic civilization and of reading the Vedas is to attain the perfect stage of devotional service in the human form of life.
So that's the thing. So you see that Prahlad Maharaj says the same thing. Then can you read 1 to 10? Who can you put 1 to 10 after this? I'm just trying to show you all how the Bhagavatam is systematic. Everywhere a similar message is being mentioned. So I want you to all appreciate Bhagavatam, not just from one angle. So I want to 1 to 10. What does it say? Who wants to read 1 to 10?
Let's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's work.
Yeah. So see, it's the same. It's not a unique. This message is all through Bhagavatam. And can you read the purport first, please?
The completely bewildered material civilization is wrongly directed towards the fulfillment of desire in sense gratification. In such civilization, in all spheres of life, the ultimate end is sense gratifications. In politics, social service, altruism, philanthropy, and ultimately in religion or even in service.
That's good.
The very same tint of sense gratification is ever increasingly predominant.
You see that. Now you listen, there's one word, interesting word, even in religion. So what happens is if you say, a lot of people will ask, if you say there's so much puja going on in this world, so much puja. Prabhupada in this in one of the lectures says that there's a difference between puja and seva. What happens is we go to temple and we do puja. When puja means I invite you, say I invite Devi or invite Ganesh or I invite, Lord Shiva, whatever. And then I offer them something. I offer them, some puja, some, things. I do arati, I give them some, bhoga, and offer them and all that. And they make them very happy. So when you invite a guest, you make the guest very happy. And then after that, the guest is naturally say, can I do something for you? Can I help you? Can it help you? Then In our condition state, what are you going to do? Ask,
Just list of desires.
oh, just give me this, give me this, give me. So give me this, give me that, give me this. So what happens is, even in religion, self-gratification is actually the goal of life many a times. Prabhupada is that unique personality. Till Prabhupada came, literally nobody, literally I would guarantee, because the only people, the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, I was born in a Sri Vaishnava family, and I know I had no idea what the purpose of life was. Because even though I was born in a Sri Vaishnava family, I didn't have any contact with Parkal Mutt or Hopila Mutt or any of the Mutt. The chiefs of the Mutt would be sitting in their jeeps and they would travel only to their devotees and then give kathas and whatever and then come back. They never went out in the street to redeem the conditioned souls. It was only, Prabhupada, under the instructions of his Guru Maharaj and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who actually went out of his country, went all the way to a land of meat eaters, womanizers, and drunkards, alcoholic, drug eaters. He went into that country and made devotees out of the villagers and yavanas and things like that, and brought them back and started making devotees everywhere. Prabhupada is this unique personality who took Vedic culture and transported it to places where even Prabhupada's godbrothers were not confident it can happen. They said even Prabhupada's godbrothers were not confident it could happen. Prabhupada said, no, it should be. If devotional service is meant to be the purpose of human life, then every country in the world, every birth, everything should be able to do devotional service. Why are we limiting it to only one set of brahmanas or one set of, some people like that? No, everybody should be open to everybody. And that's what Prabhupada's thing is. So he says in this lecture in Stockholm, I think it's Stockholm or Hyderabad, in Stockholm, I think he says, the Krishna consciousness movement is based on this one text. This is the core text of the Krishna consciousness movement. We are taking this movement, this text to heart, and actually this verse is the purpose why we are existing, to educate people in this knowledge. That is the only reason we exist as Krishna. That's why even in religion, the whole concept is puja, but no seva. It is only through Krishna consciousness movement when Prabhupada translated the word bhakti, the usual word for bhakti. Tell me what's the usual translation for bhakti?
Devotion.
Devotion. But what is Prabhupada's translation for bhakti?
Devotional service.
Which is the more important part? The service. So he insisted on devotional service. Prabhupada was so, if there, he is like, even today, after 50 years, we still haven't been able to unravel the glories of this person. We are saying Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. We don't know who Prabhupada is. Jai Prabhupada is because we get prasadam after that. We are not doing Jai Prabhupada because we want to go back to God. We're doing Jai Prabhupada, so prasadam can come after that. Otherwise, that personality, I don't know what. There was a time when I heard this before, that when Krishna told Prabhupada to come to this planet to save the conditions, so he said, you really want me to go to that horrible place? Then Krishna said, yes, I want you to go. He said, all right, I'll go then in that place. He had no idea, he had no desire to come here, but he came because he wanted. So we have to, one of the greatest qualities to develop a devotional service is gratitude. One of the greatest qualities to develop, primary quality. So this is something that we have to be very, very ready to develop, to have a gratitude that this personality actually did such a fantastic job in translations and purpose. So then what happens is, form of life means, so now Prabhupada continues, he says, however, this is not human civilization. Human life means voluntarily practicing suffering for the advancement of spiritual life. Now, this is a slightly different thing. Now, again, Prabhupada is writing for us, if you notice. Everybody still, or is anybody hungry? So, the thing is, actually, it's very rare that I see people in class. But they go at 10 o'clock. I mean, I went to the kitchen at 10 o'clock and we had to cook for our food. And then at 12 o'clock, so I told him there were 40 people. I said, "Prabhu, there's only 40 people, Prabhu." Then he said, "Don't worry, cook." I said, so, but then anyway, it's time for offering. So the offering went to the altar and I went to the temple room. I was sitting and just watching the devotees come.
Hare Krishna, can you make it a little louder?
Then at that time, class started. 45 people, 50 people. 2 o'clock the class ends. 250 people were there. I don't know where they came from. I mean, I couldn't, they were not even outside. I mean, it's not, they were hanging around somewhere there. And I thought they came out from the walls, you know. Normally, when the only person who comes from the wall is Nasibadev. Since then, I didn't know the devotee of I said, this is really good. I mean, this is transcendental, totally transcendental. How during Prasadam time, like suddenly the explosion happens, you know, the devotee population suddenly, you know, becomes very big. So anyway, so don't worry. I've been there. I've been there, done it. We all know what happens. So if you're suffering, let me know. We can stop the suffering. So that is some. So what he's saying is the same. He said we take voluntary take suffering. What does he mean? The word is actually tapasya. Tapasya means austerity and penance. Austerity and penance are not too bad actually on its own. Or we do a lot of austerity to go to work. We do a lot of austerity to get 10 rupees. How much of work you have to do is amazing. The level of work we have to do to just maintain our family is amazing. So austerity is not a problem for us. If you want to go to a movie, you have to take your bike, fill gas, petrol, and go there. How much is the movie ticket today? 800 rupees? Huh? Wow. Man, I can have 4 jalebi. I prefer 4 kg jalebis to 1,200 rupee movie. Why does I watch it? Nowadays, everything is on a phone. 50 rupees or 30 rupees or something. So that's why I have to 1,200 rupees. Okay, that's good. I think that's good way of preventing people from coming. So now you have to pay 1,200. Now the 1,200 rupees is what? You have to work for 10 hours at least. So the point is just this. So what we are doing is that what Prabhupada is saying is that human life means to voluntarily practice suffering to advancement in spiritual life. What it means is that we have to perform austerity. Tapasya means austerity and penances. Chanting Hare Krishna is an austerity. Getting up in the morning, doing puja, doing seva is an austerity. Now, austerity is not by itself, it's either we do austerity to earn money or for sense gratification, or we do austerity for spiritual life. The interesting thing that happens is, because we like sense gratification, we don't find that austerity. We don't get any suffering from that. We don't experience suffering by doing that austerity. On the hand, when we do spiritual life, every austerity feels like suffering. Isn't it? Isn't that our experience? Sitting and chanting. I mean, when in chanting, you notice we have different kinds of chanting. You know that? Have you heard that or not? Yeah. I know last year he's the one who, there are different kinds of chanting. There is one called Jibot Jabbar chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, how are you doing? Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. I didn't see you last week, Hare Krishna. Ram, Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. That's called Jibot Jabbar chanting. The other is called die bomber chanting. You know, in the World War II, we had die bombers. You know, Germans, they would have bombers that will come on a very high. They come dive, bomb, and then they go away. So it's like this. You know, they were called die bombers. Germany had the die bombers, and they would attack English people during World War II. So our chanting is like Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Other kind of chanting, there are 12 chanting, but I'm not going to all just for shortage of time. The other chanting is called radar chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Last time, that's called radar, like a radar. So we have a number of, we have wonderful chantings going on, but except the real chanting, we go all other chanting. So anyway, the point is just this, that suffering, when he says suffering, it is a tapasya. And he says that feels like suffering because we are not attached to Krishna yet. So it feels like suffering, but we have to accept that suffering. Just accept it for some time. Till the time when the attraction for an attachment for Krishna comes, when it doesn't feel like suffering anymore, then it becomes our own, it becomes enlivening to take voluntary tapasya. So now there's a difference between tapasya, austerities, and kasht. Kasht is suffering. Now suffering, what Prabhupada then goes on to explain, is that all living entities, including animals, go through kasht, suffering. That is suffering due to our own karmas. So that karma suffering you have to tolerate. You have nothing to do, you can't do anything. But tapasya is a voluntary acceptance of austerity to develop spiritual life. Now, one thing very careful we have to understand is what Guruji Prabhupada, which was very nice for me to hear and speak last week, this coming week for 3 days. Guruji Prabhupada makes a very interesting point between what are the two forms of things. He said Ishtarupa and Bhavarupa, right? Ishtarupa is said, right? So he says something interesting. The activities of devotional service, if you remember, you can do the activities. You can go to Vrindavan, you can go on parikrama, you can go on this thing, chanting and all that. They are all book distribution, all that. They are all activities. But Bhava Rupa means the consciousness of which you're doing those activities is important. The same thing comes with this, the tapasya. What Prabhupada is saying is that suffering is natural to everybody, but the tapasya is very important. That it has to be done with the consciousness of wanting to grow in spiritual life. In other words, what is the second verse of Nectar of Instruction? What I think Niyam Agraha and Niyam Agraha. What's the difference between the two? Niyam Agraha, Niyam Agraha.
In the first one, like Niyamagra, he is very eager to accept, one is very eager to accept the rules and rituals without understanding the purpose and spirit behind.
Okay.
And Niyamagraha means one is giving up the rule and rituals.
Too less substance. Too much of rules and too less of
Rules and what?
niyama. Rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations?
Following too much and not following anything.
Okay. So in other words, what happens is just following rules and regulations for its own sake. What it means, it becomes Smarta Brahmins kind of thing. This muddy, that muddy, the muddy and all that. Just follow rules and regulations. I mean, I've seen people, they make so much fuss about how things have to be done, this thing and all that, just like Smarta Brahmins. But it is not for the progress, or the rules and regulations are not used for progressing in devotional life. That is a critical thing to understand. The following rules and regulations is there, but it is to be for developing devotional sentiments, devotional service. It's not rules just following. There are a lot of people, the fellow's falling out of sleep while he's doing this. Because especially if you have to do it every day, I can guarantee. Because many of you don't do Aarti every day, so you don't know that. When you do the first time, it's always interesting to watch anybody does Aarti for the first time. Well, you have to have coordination. Bell has to ring and this has to ring. What will happen is I can't do both. I can't do the bell and do this. I find it funny when I tell people to do arti. They would have watched me doing arti for, I mean, maybe 1 year, 2 years. They come to the programs. They'll watch you doing arti. So then after some time I said, Prabhu, why don't you also do arti? I said, Prabhu, I'll teach you, please do arti. And then they go right, Aarti, they go right up to the deity. They can't stand away, from, they'll have to give the deity a Aarti. It's always interesting to watch when people are learning to do this. So it's kind of interesting. So the whole purpose, there are some rules and regulations you have to follow to do bhakti. It's not when we say that it's free of rules and regulations, what we mean is that general rules and regulations are there, but there are still rules and regulations. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names. Yes, there are no hard and fast rules, but there is a rule. It's slow. It cannot be hard, it's very soft and slow. That is very critical. So that is something that he's saying, that we have to take this tapasya and this normal kash that is there, that which even the animals suffered, we also suffer as long as we are going in Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. As long as we keep on following this practice. So even though we are human beings, so that's why when we give this instruction, it is nice to hear, but when you start practicing it, you will find it is a very challenging thing to practice. Because we are trained from the very beginning, from our childhood, instead of being trained in devotional service, we are trained in Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. We're trained in that. So that is, so he says a higher sense is present in the human form. We should act according to superior advice in order to attain eternal happiness and go back to Godhead. Now, next paragraph, and this, it is significant in this verse that the government and the natural guardian, the father, should educate subordinates and raise them to Krishna consciousness. Now, in this regard, we'll look at two verses which are very important. 2:14. 2:14. Will somebody read the translation or?
Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems. Being too attached to the variable soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction.
And then go to 4:25:6.
Those who are interested only in a so-called beautiful life, namely remaining as a householder entangled by sons and a wife and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence without finding out the ultimate goal of life.
Read the purport.
Those who are too much attached to family life, which consists of entanglement with wife, children, wealth, and home, are engaged in Kuta Dharma, pseudo duties. Prahlad Maharaj has likened these pseudo occupational duties to a dark well. Prahlad has purposefully spoken of this dark well because if one falls into this well, he will die. He may cry for help, but no one will hear him or come to rescue him.
So this is interesting. Do we connect to this? So what happens is that even though we are coming from this background, we are coming from the background being immersed in a beautiful life, immersed in devoid of Atma Tattva, Bhautika cha Bhavanam. We are coming from that background. So what happens is it takes quite a bit of time. It takes quite a bit of association. It takes quite a bit of determination to say that, you know what, enough is enough. I've done this for 8.4 million lives. I have looked for my own financial security. I've looked for, my own sense gratification. enough is enough. It takes a lot of determination, it takes a lot of association, and it takes a lot of introspection. What does introspection mean? Introspection means thinking, will actually Krishna look after me? Will actually Krishna look after me? And you'll find that we don't believe Krishna will look after us. We are chanting, we are offering our food, we are doing the arati, but we still, at the bottom of our heart, we're still worried. His Holiness Radharaman Goswami Maharaj was giving a class in Vrindavan, His Holiness Radharaman Maharaj, and he said it very nicely. He said, there are two things in life, sankoch and atrupti. Atrupti means dissatisfaction and sankoch means doubt. So what happens is, he says, when Krishna Nam, when the Krishna Katha, the names of Krishna, when Krishna passed him, the Supreme Absolute Truth enters the ears, but does not go to the heart. There's a communication blockage. You need to do a bypass surgery. It doesn't hear in the heart. Because what happens is it goes into the ear and stays in the head, or goes into the ear and goes out. See, the two things that will happen when messages go into the ear, they go into the ear and go out straight. That's okay. That's like clean. Most of it looks like you're not in that level. So if you go from here, then I think you can notice that kind of people, a clean word, they'll keep smiling at everything. And then after that class is over, what did you understand? Oh, everything was very nice. What did you understand? No, everything was very nice. Can you give me one point that you can remember? No, everything was going on here. That's just going through. So everything is very nice. After 2 hours class. Then there's another level where where it enters here and just floats around here in the head. It's all head knowledge. It hasn't reached the heart yet. Because you need a bypass surgery done between the heart and the mind. So when the message doesn't reach the heart, what does it mean to reach the heart? To reach the heart means I feel this message. I'm really feeling this message. And when I feel this message, yes, I have to do something about it. I should do something about it. I should develop more faith. I should find a way to develop my faith. I don't have so much faith. How can I do that? Mataji, can you help me, Mataji? How do you seem to have more faith? How are you doing it? How are you managing to have faith? Prabhu, how are you having faith? What do you do when you don't have faith? Then the inquiry becomes a little more different. Now I'm saying that I'm getting the message, but the faith is not building in my heart. Can you help me? What is it you do? What did you do special? How do you see faith? Then what happens is now the thing is connection. If the connection is not made between the message entering the ears and it reaching your heart, then what happens is two things happen. First of all, is we have some coach. Some coach means actually doubt. What happens is we develop doubt. We develop whether the thing actually works. Does Hare Krishna mantra actually work? Does devotional service actually work? We start developing doubt. That's why you'll see devotees after a few years, they're suddenly, lose, where's the goal? They start doubting, they start this thing. They're losing association devotees and all. So some coach is there. The second part of that, when doubt enters the heart, whether this is working or not working, because we can't see it working actually. Prabhupada gives us example. What happens is when you first start, he gives an example of a plane. When the plane is first taking off, you can notice the plane is not going very fast. At what speed is it going? About 200 miles per hour or something to take off. It's not going very fast. But we can notice the plane moving because it's not going very fast. And we see buildings are flying past, everything, and the houses are becoming smaller. We can see something happening and we can say, oh, the plane is moving. But once the plane goes into the clouds, it's going at 600 miles per hour. It's going much faster than what it's doing when it's taking off. but we can't see any movement. We're thinking, man, this plane is not moving at all. Is he going to reach? And when is he going to reach? Only luckily we know there's a plane. That's what we know it's going to reach. But in our life, we don't know that. So what happens, the same thing, when we are starting off, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, I mean, dancing, chanting, feasting, the Krishna consciousness, man, I'm waiting for Sunday to happen, I mean, so that we can go and let's go have fun. I mean, so the week is like only work, and cry. So Sunday means fun, all that. And then suddenly I'm feeling I'm able to wake up in the morning, my health is improved, health is improved, everything is doing very nicely. So, but then 5 years go, 10 years go, 15 years go, and suddenly middle age comes, you're 40, you're 50. Matajis who are in the 50s and 60s who have been practicing, and then children are there, grandchildren are there, and by then, the body is also getting tired. Then super senior, you get to 86, and then you're okay, now what's the purpose of life? What do I do with my life? What do I do with my time? Just keep watching videos and things like that. Yes, what else do we do? So when time starts staying, then the same thing starts becoming, because what is happening now, the doubt has led to, even though we are doing the Ishtarupa, we are doing the practice of the devotional service, we are not getting a newer and newer meaning into Krishna's pastimes. And then what happens is we get a trupti, we get dissatisfaction. We don't feel that bliss. I mean, so then the devotee, then somebody will come and say, "Oh, Prabhu, Krishna consciousness is blissful." Really? What blissfulness are you talking about? I don't find any bliss. In fact, I find it a torture. So that is the thing. So what happens is, it is natural that we will go through a certain phase if it doesn't reach the heart. So the point is devoid of Krishna. So therefore, because we come from this background, so what happens is we have this tendency of we have to put in that extra effort, take some time for us to put in some determination, take strong association and introspection. We have to introspect and try to see in what way Krishna, and look for Krishna's hand. Suddenly you'll find that, I was supposed to do something, I did something else, but that was the right thing, it happened the right way. I have my plans, Krishna has his plans for me, and his plans are better than my plans. When you say that I have my plans, Krishna has his plans for me, but Krishna's plans are better for me than my plan, that is when you know that you're getting past this or being devoid of Atma Tattva. So finally, we will discuss about this thing about Prabhupada says, without Krishna consciousness, a person is no better than a hog or a dog. And before that, he says, a foolish civilization neglects to teach people how to rise to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. So not only does the civilization does not educate you, but in this lecture in Stockholm, Prabhupada says, not only the civilization doesn't educate you, they even stop you. They even find ways to stop you. They make life so difficult. They increase your taxes. They increase this, increase that. Prabhupada says, I think in this book only says that. Yeah, he talks about standing in an hour and all that. Does he talk about growing food and vegetables? No. No, not in this one. Okay, in the lecture, Prabhupada talks about it is to maintain oneself is very simple, he says. To maintain oneself, you just need a little bit of land, grow a little bit of vegetables and thing, and have some cow milk, and you'll be very satisfied. He said, you don't need to stand. You don't need to stand in the bus for 1 hour, go to that thing, and then come back in the night totally tired. You come so tired that you can't even eat. My Guru Maharaj would tell me, that when he was growing up in Nasik, he was the eldest son and he had eight brothers and sisters. So his father, died very early, and he was responsible to bring them all up and get them married and all that. And he was only a school teacher. And in those days, school teachers, they would earn 10 rupees a week or something like that. So he said, so what happened is that he would get up at 4:35 in the morning, go on cycle, go to somebody's house, give tuition there, go to another person's house, give tuition, and go to third person's house, give tuition. He would finish 3 tuitions, then come back, have a little something to eat, and then go to school. And he would teach in school, then come back, And at that time, on the banks of Godavari, you have all this Bombay and have the street Telawalas, selling different things and all that. He had his brother, he set up a business for his brother to do some Tela to help with the income. And that was also going on. And by the time, and then he would go after that, helping his brother in the evening, then he would go again give tuitions and then come back by 10 o'clock in the night. He said, by the time I came back in the night, I was so tired, I had barely enough time. Even while eating, I would just go off to sleep. Just while eating. I was not even hungry. While eating itself, I was so tired, I would go off to sleep. He said it was a very difficult life. So what happens is, Prabhupada is trying to say here in a lecture, he says that to maintain ourselves is actually very simple. If you have a simple life, it's not too much to maintain it for your maintenance. Which is an extra cost of money, is the internet, the cell phone, iPhone 14. How many people have iPhone 14 here? This is a useless crowd. I'm not used to talking to crowds where there's not iPhone 14. Only useless people. You are 90% of your life as well. And the other 10% is because you don't have a MacBook. The other 10%, so 100% of your life is wasted. The point is just this: to buy your iPhone 14, you need 1 lakh rupees. To put the internet, you need another thing, and then add and so it's but then so that's why Prabhupada was very unhappy when he left this world. He said, you know what? I have done one half of the job, but I haven't satisfied my Guru Maharaj in another half. The one half I've done is I have set up an organization for the propagation of the holy names of the Lord. I've set up that organization. In other words, I've created a society of Brahmanas. But everybody who comes to our society is not a Brahmana. We need, for a society to exist, we need Varnashram system. Every person is unique. Somebody is a Kshatriya, somebody is a Vaishya, everybody is unique. Everybody should be given a chance to participate in the society. Not everybody is a Brahmana. Brahmana's job is to learn scriptures, study scriptures, get realizations, and preach and explain the scriptures to others. There are others in the society who need to raise funds for the, who need to raise, grow crops, do trading, business, do what you call it. I noticed, do trading, grow food, go get milk and all that. There are others who need to organize things to make sure that everything is organized nicely. So you need the Kshatriyas, you need the Shudras, you need the Vaishyas, you need other things. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's greatest problem was, his greatest ambition or feeling was, we need to set up a Daivi Varnashram system. Not just a Varnashram system, but a Vaishnashram system around Krishna. So that's where we have failed today in the last 50 years. Now we have seen that Bhakti Raghav Maharaj and some other Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, some people are making some attempts of setting up some farm communities here and there and all that. But we still haven't done enough. We have to have so many farm communities that those people, those Matajis and Prabhu, who are not very ambitious or very testing, they should be having a place you can have shelter where, you know what, I'll just grow a little bit food, I'll come, I'll cook for you, and then we'll have some kirtan in the evening. We don't have to go driving 4 hours, 5 hours, go from Martha Valley to, sit in the air conditioned offices and, and then sit down in artificial light and then come back and then after that, when you come in. Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I'm doing fine, Prabhu. I don't think so, Prabhu. I'm not doing fine. You don't look fine. Look very tired. Yes, Prabhu. You're not supposed to do that. Why? That's not the purpose of Vedic civilization. That was not the purpose. It is only modern civilization that's made us. There are so many acres of land that are going vacant. All the farmers are coming to build multi-story buildings. By the way, Farming is not an easy job. Please understand that. It's hard work, but it's a satisfying hard work. It's satisfying. You at least sleep at night properly. You don't get bad dreams. At least that's what you get. Fresh air, no COVID. No farmer has died of COVID because you have COVID, I can get 2 months of health. Social distancing, not how much? Right? In farming, you can get 20 feet social distance, no problem. There's a lot of distance you can have. Mahatma Gandhi said this very nicely. He said there's enough in this world for every person's need, not for one person's greed. That is our problem. Our problem is we have complicated life so much that today, even though we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are not able to uproot ourselves from Janma, Jara, was it? Jara. We're not able to uproot ourselves. And because we're not able to uproot ourselves, we are like haphazardly trying to work on this thing. So what we have to do as youngsters, all of you, what you have to do is try and create a Daivi Varnashram thing. And that's where, because you already have a center, which is, I was just saying this thing is interesting. In the store here, I was thinking how lucky the devotees are here. That in the store here, you think from looking outside, you think the only thing you're getting is Krishna posters, beads, and Krishna posters, beads, and books. But there's something secret there, which I like. When I saw that before I go, I should get 1 or 2 packets of them. Can anybody tell me what the secret is?
Ekadashi.
No?
Ekadashi.
Ekadashi Prasadam.
Man, what? I never even thought about that. What a great place to be in. They said Ekadashi flower. I said, this is great. I don't even have to worry about it. Next time I'll just come here on the day before Ekadashi, buy this and go back. I don't have to go hunting with where to get Ekadashi flower. Even that is provided for you. Ekadashi is also provided for you. Prasad. It's amazing. So that is the beauty of the support system that we have. So that's why Prabhupada was really feeling sad that we have not, I'm leaving this world, but I'm leaving it for you people, the future generations, to create the Devi Varnashram system. So that everybody is fully engaged in whatever capacity. Krishna has given each one a mystic potency. Each one is unique and each one has a thing, but the engagement has to be wholehearted. Not everybody can go out on books. Not everybody can go out on prasad. Not everybody can go on Harinam. Not everybody is necessarily there. But ideas, as many people, so that's why Prabhupada would always say that the preachers should be in the city, householders should be farmers. Householders should stay in the farms because for them, bringing up children in a nice, peaceful environment with cows, with goats or whatever you're having, animals, nice grass, nice thing. Children will grow up in a nice environment which is nice and peaceful. Householders should have that peace. It's important for householders, as it is having 4 people in a family is bad enough. Then add to that, you add all the other problems. It's not working. It's not working. So we should attempt that. We should attempt to get into some kind of expansion. We have to expand the propagating of the holy name of the Lord, and we have to expand householders being able to get some kind of shelter. The other thing that now we are doing a lot of attempts actually in ISKCON, we're doing a lot of things, is creating facilities for people who are terminally ill. The hospice. I don't know if you've heard of it. In Vrindavan, Radhanath Maharaj has set up a very nice hospice. In Bombay, he set up the Bhaktivedanta hospital very nicely. Radhanath Maharaj has done a fantastic job there. So people are getting older. In the US, we have a lot of problems with senior devotees who now are, they're all Prabhupada disciples, they're all in the 65, 70, and they're falling sick. No place for them. They can't stay in the temples, but they can't also stay outside because they don't have the income to pay the rent. So we don't have places for them who, after they have given their entire life for Krishna, they have given their entire life for Prabhupada, but now when they need some help and support, we don't have a support for them. We don't have a place where you can say an old age home kind of thing where you can say, okay, Prabhu, if you want, you're invited to come here and stay and we look after you. You have done so much service for Prabhupada over the years. Why don't we do some service for you now? So please stay here and we can feed you now. We don't have that for any of us. All of us are here. We are now going past the 60s. I'm now a senior citizen. I'm very happy I get discount on all the trains and everything. That's the only thing I get, nothing else. I was waiting to become senior citizen. I was desperately because of discount. But now the problem is wherever I book trains, they said senior citizen discount not available. Point. Because at Tatkal you can't get senior citizen discount, and AC 2 tire you don't get shares. Many trains don't have senior citizen discount. Man, I worked so hard to become senior citizen. The only thing I get is senior citizen interest rate on my fixed deposit. That is good. 5%, 0.5% extra. That is good. And if you're super senior citizen after I think more than 70 something, you get 1% more. That's even better. But anyway, let's see if we live that long. That's a different story. Hare Krishna. So anyway, we'll stop here. I hope. So the point is that what Prabhupada is trying to say is that we have to work in that second paragraph. He says we have to work so hard to maintain ourselves here. Go in the train for 1 hour, go in the bus for another hour, and so on. Maintain so hard. Why don't we? That's not human civilization. That's not what God made us for. He made us for us to serve Him, be peaceful, be happy. Only a God who has got who wants to trouble you will create a city. If you notice, there's a William Blake, an English poet, said that God made the country, man made the cities. God made country. He made nice land to grow your food on. He gave you cows to get nice milk on. Milk is a fantastic source of protein. You just have to drink milk and you get all your intelligence out of it. It's one of the fantastic foods. He never wanted us to work so hard. Actually, that way animals are better than us. They don't work hard, they get the food. The dog can get food anywhere. The problem is we can't eat our stool. That's the problem. So we are even worse than at least dog can eat stool and then he'll be happy. We have to get something. We have to eat gulab jamun. Chapati means, Prabhu, the chapati is only good. It has to have 3 dots on one side and 2 dots on the other side. I don't eat chapati and this has got 3 dots on one side and 2 dots. Then please, Prabhu, don't take it. It's fast. It's good for you. And Prabhu, this gulab jamun is not very round. It's not soft. It should be nice to melt in the mouth. Again, Mataji just eat it once in a while. You are lucky you're getting gulab jamun. The fellow on the street doesn't even get jamun, forget about gulab jamun. Because of all these complications, we have to work so hard. Otherwise, just eat khichdi, make khichdi, eat khichdi, and Haribol. After that, go to sleep. And then wake up again, eat again, and go to sleep again. And in between, if you get bored of eating and sleeping, chant Hare Krishna. Get bored, chant Hare Krishna. And if anybody tells you that if you start doing that from today onwards, and some other devotee says, Mataji, Prabhu, what are you doing? Say, Purnendu Prabhu told me to do this. I'm doing it. Blame it on. Eat prasadam, sleep, get up, and if you feel eat prasadam again, sleep. And in between, if you get bored of eating prasadam, sleep, chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, any in the speaker? Mike? Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, you were telling about a message going to the head and then heart. Sometimes after a particular class, there will be some transformation, temporary one, which will go to the heart, and enthusiasm builds up and it dies out so fast, like as fast it goes and so fast. Like you are talking about faith, but we have faith, but enthusiasm dies down. How should we maintain that enthusiasm? We have faith, whatever the message you conveyed to us has gone to the heart, but because of this environment, the energy we are associated with, our enthusiasm goes down and we will not be able to continue. Faith is there. Faith is there.
It's a very good question. The reason enthusiasm goes on is it's Bhautikana Bhavana, that verse that I quoted. It's 1:14, just for anybody who takes notes and all that. 1:14, it's Bhautikana Bhavanam Shakti Rasam Chakritam. That's exactly what you're saying. What happens is, Vyasadeva thought about it. That's why he compiled the Bhagavatam. Because he had already given Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. He had already given that Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But what Vyasadeva found that with Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, he said that people were still not coming up to Moksha because they got stuck in the Kama part, the sense gratification part. See, we do Dharma, we do Puja, we do all that. And then we have to start to get economic development. And from economic development, Kama starts, sense gratification. And then when you get frustrated in sense gratification for a brief moment, we'll think, oh, I want moksha, I want moksha. See, when we do this, what is this? We think it's namaste. It's not namaste. This is mera picha chodo. Actually, when we do this sincerely, if you ask any person sincerely, mera picha chodo. Please leave me alone. The problem is just this, that the problem is that material energy, the bhautikana, the absorption of material energy, that stops the vitality. That is the problem, that's not the vitality. So what happens is once we leave this compound is transcendental. The minute we enter this compound, however depressed you are, you feel happy. Because there's chanting going on, everything's going on. The minute, I see a lot of the faces. The minute you enter this compound, you may have come depressed, you may have come tired, but the minute you come, you feel like, of course, when I'm giving class, you'll be further depressed. Because now that I said that this thing, others, the people depressed are smiling now. Everybody likes it. No, everybody's shy to say, Prabhu, why did you keep quiet? You have spoken for 2 hours enough. People keep quiet. They are so kind. They can't say it. And I'm the one sitting here, so they can't afford to say it. But point is just this, that the minute you come here, the reason you come here is because you're tired of the material world. The traffic, the pollution, the constant fighting and screaming and everywhere, nowadays, every time you see in the airlines, they started screaming and shouting, everywhere, every fight, short for small, why did you take my seat? Whole fight will start on that, why take my seat? Instead of getting that seat, everybody's got a seat in the plane, but no, my seat, I want my seat, you take your seat. The whole fight will start and then both people will be thrown out of the plane. So both people want it. Madness, the madness that's going on in this world. My Guru Maharaj would tell me this, but he left his body 10 years ago. He took Samadhi 10 years ago. It is 10 or 11, close to 11 years. And he was 92 when he took the Samadhi. So now he would be 102 if he was there. And my grandmother is there, who's 105 actually. She's living in Cunningham Road. I have to go visit her, my grandmother. He was telling me how, when he was growing up as a child, this tax collector would come once a year and he would ask for 1 rupee tax. When the tax collector would come, his grandfather would say, Kali Yuga has come. Kali Yuga has come. 1 rupee tax. My grandfather would say, Kali Yuga has come. Kali Yuga has come. Then what happened is, one day my Guru Maharaj was sitting with him as a boy. He didn't have his cap. Normally you're supposed to you should keep your head covered. That's very culture. Your head should be always covered. When you're meeting seniors, when you're meeting elders, your head supposed to be covered. I didn't know all that. So then he said something very. So one day his grandfather was sitting and he was sitting with his grandfather. He said, man, this Kali Yuga is horrible. Then my Guru Maharaj was a small boy, 8 years old, 10 years old. Said, Dada, you keep on saying grand, this Kali Yuga clear. What Kali Yuga are you talking about? We have so much land, we've got so much vegetables and fruits we're growing. We've got so much paddy we're growing paddy, we've got other. Everything is full, everything is there. And every evening we go and listen to Harikatha, this traveling, what do they call this traveling roadshow? What do they call it? I forget the name. Because people would come from village to village and travel and go, right?
Yeah.
Huh? I don't, yeah, some kind of traveling road. Huh? No, not Padiyatra. It used to be the drama. They perform dramas in different towns. I forget the name anyway. And so they, every evening they would go and listen. They would be either Ramkatha or something, or Bhagavad or something. They would go listen to it, and then while coming back, they would talk about it. That and Ravan was looking really like Ravan, isn't it? It's so nice, you know. So that was like they had nothing much, you know. So he said, "What is this Kali Yuga?" Grandfather said, "Look, you're sitting here without a cap. You're a rascal. You're Kali Yuga." My Guru Maharaj said, "Man, what a grandfather! This grandfather told him that just because I don't have a cap on Kali Yuga certainly." He said, "Look at this. You have no respect at all. The way you're sitting in front of me, you have no respect. You're Kali Yuga." So Maharaj was telling me this. I was driving from one program to another program. I was driving. It was in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. No, was it in Chicago? Not Chicago. It was in Minneapolis. Yeah. In Minneapolis, I was driving him when he was explaining to me. He was sitting next to me and explaining this. I looked at him and at that time I said, "Maharaj, what would your grandfather tell about us?" He kept quiet for a minute. He looked at me, "Purnendu, if my grandfather met you, he would go and commit suicide." He see your face, he commits suicide. And I'm glad I'm not living it. I'm glad I'm in Kali Yuga. If I live with your grandfather, I would commit suicide. I don't know about you, but I would commit suicide. He said, "If my grandfather met you, he would completely commit suicide." I said, "Yes, Maharaj, I agree. Totally." So that's a point to it. So the thing is, even a few hundred years ago, their life was a lot simpler. You could maintain your, see, the point is everybody had an independent source of income earlier. They had land, they had something, you managed to, somehow you manage your life. You're not a millionaire, you're not a billionaire, but your roti kapta makan was managed. But what happens today is that management itself is becoming very difficult. When we first started getting jobs, the idea of job came in first time. It was called Naukri. Naukri means one person works, 9 people eat out of that salary. That's why it's called Naukri. Then what happened is life got a little more complicated. iPhones started coming and things like that, whatever, computers, cars. So it became Chakri. Chakri means one person works and 4 people eat from the salary. Chakri. Then it became Vetan. Vetan means one person works and 2 people can eat out of that salary. Vetan. Now it's called Tanka. Means one person eats and one person eats. That's why husband and wife both have to work. Because you will eat into your salary, I eat my salary. Now problems, who eats it? The children. Children, yours.
Link is there.
Huh?
Behind there is there. Double income, no things.
That's a different style. Yeah, that's so. And then what happens is now the future generation is 2 people will work and 1 person will eat in the morning and the other person will eat at night. But both people will have to work. This is because what is happening is it's getting worse and worse. Some of the symptoms, if you read the 12th canto of Bhagavatam and you see the symptoms of Kali Yuga, I thought that symptoms when I first read it 20 years ago, when I read this Bhagavatam 12th canto, the first canto, I started reading quickly to see what is happening. I thought I'll never see this symptoms of Kali Yuga happening. I thought it happened, according to Shastra, Prabhupada says Kali Yuga is going to last for another 432,000 years, and 10,000 years it's the golden age of Kali Yuga, when some Sankirtan movement will continue. I said, okay, I'm not going to live that long. At least till my life is together, and Harinam will go on and I'll be nice. I thought I'd never see Kali Yuga, but I can guarantee you, read the 12th canto, you see all the symptoms of Kali Yuga already. I thought it's happening only another 5,000, 10,000 years from now. Happening already. So your point, what you're saying is that the reason that enthusiasm is the bautikana, the absorption in the mental energy, that saps the vitality. So then what we have to do is, just as we have bath every day, we brush every day, we have to keep on, recharging the batteries regularly. That recharge. It doesn't answer your question. Huh? So, Mike.
I have a question.
Turn it on.
The session is very nice project. Sure. Yes.
Something good to tell you that. That's okay. So even if I thought it was very nice. But don't ask me what I spoke. And don't ask me what I practiced. That's even worse. Because 90% of what I spoke, I don't practice in account.
Yes, but I can say confidently that on that sloka 1114, whatever we told, that vitality force, and the conclusion we gave about this varna, Devi varna, Shamishna, the two things very. But like just when you get back from few the speakers regarding the Devi varna system, then even through the kind of doing things by Guru Bhakti Maharaj, and his Guru Bhakti Maharaj, and his Guru Neshwaram Maharaj, on this literature when I surveyed, truly it's truly inspiring also. But I got struck very Prabhupada mentioned, especially in discussion with his devotees at that time in the conversations, like nowadays devotees are over here, and now it's truly, of course, it's difficult to implement the Daiva Varnashram system, whatever we want to achieve that one day. And okay, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mission, just come and chant, and let's go back to home, back to God, whatever minimal work you can do, you can do. Let's in that way you can do it, instead of the focusing on the Daivi Varnashram system. But the moment when we invest time and energy in Daivi Varnashram system, we can gather in the large quantity reaching that could happen. Like kind of whatever you told, Brahmana already purpose created, head is created. Now the Kshatriya, the hands and belly and legs, this has to be created. But how this contradiction process, like kind of okay, let's do whatever in our hand, whatever we can do that one and chant nicely and back to home, back to body, just finish up it without bothering of any other thing. Or we have to focus on the future generation of preaching model of Devi Varnashram system.
Yeah, that's a very good question, bro. Just ask yourself, how much time do you get to chant actually with the current system of living?
Absolutely, truly, like even if I chant in the entire day, when I chant also, the thoughts are of those of whatever I worked in the day.
Correct. That's what I'm trying to say. So what happens is it's not an option. See, we might chant our rounds, we might chant. I mean, you can attend as many, Japa reform retreats, and you can do all those retreats and all that. The challenge all of us are facing is not that we're not sincere. We're all sincere. We all want to worship Krishna. We want to worship Krishna 24/7. We want to think of him 24/7. We want to hear his leelas 24/7. We would like to do that. But the maintenance of the family is getting so complicated and so this thing that our vitality, our ability to remember Krishna is becoming difficult. Our ability to chant, even if we chant, we are always thoughts are going on what happened. Oh, this boss told me this person told me that. I have to pay this bill tomorrow. I have to go to bank and put the money in the account. Others, the rent will not be paid. All kinds of things because of this basic. See, Prabhu, there are 5 levels of consciousness. Yeah, if there are 5 levels of consciousness which we have to understand, and those people who take notes can do that. One is called Anamaya consciousness. Anamaya consciousness is what Prabhupada is talking here, animal consciousness. Anamaya consciousness refers to roti kapra makan, that I am spending my entire day, my entire life in just trying to get roti kapra makan, just maintaining these 3 basic needs. Now, one is I'm spending the day maintaining roti kapra makan. That's Anamaya consciousness. The other is to want only that. Anamaya consciousness just doesn't mean you're maintaining yourself, but you're actually you think that is all. Just having, it is said that if you're in Anamaya consciousness, if you have a good house, something nice to eat, and you have a good family and a good shelter, you think life is Vaikuntha. You feel like that Anamaya consciousness. Life is Vaikuntha. How many of us feel that way right now? If you get a proper place to sleep, proper place to eat, proper things to eat, and the family doesn't scream at me, the children doesn't shout at me, the wife doesn't shout at me. From the minute I wake up, hey, what are you doing? Go get the milk, go get this, go get some, there's no atta here, go get atta. From morning to night, I have to, the wife shouts at me. There's no Anamaya. So Anamaya consciousness is being absorbed. That's one thing. Now, if you get a little further development in a consciousness wise, you come to what is called Pranamaya consciousness. Now, Pranamaya consciousness, what it does is that you are actually now starting to live. In the Annamaya consciousness, you're basically meeting the basic needs. Yeah, basic needs, how I think roti kapra makan, you're meeting only the basic. In Pranamaya consciousness, now what happens is you can start living. You can actually, what do you call it, think about other things. You're kind of, thinking about, competing. You're competing with another person. You're saying that he's got a car, I want a car, something like that. You got a car, I want a car. So now you're actually talking of levels thing. That's Pranamaya consciousness. So now for a person, if they get a Tesla car or Mercedes car, okay, life is good. Just the Vaikuntha. They stop there. They don't want to go further.
Prestige,
Huh?
some prestige is related to prestige or something.
Prestige, yeah. Yeah, prestige, correct. It's related to prestige, related to
Status.
social acceptance. Yeah,
Status.
status, settlement, that's Pranamaya consciousness. So you will see how today, if a person can reach Pranamaya consciousness, that person is actually a demigod. He's Indra for you. Indra. Forget about Indra. Anybody who says that Purnendu Krishna Das is actually a very senior devotee. He was that thing that that's enough. That's very good. I don't want to go back to God. I'm enough. I think my introduction was not given. So just introduce me. I'm very happy to hear my introduction. That's part of my consciousness. I don't want to go beyond. I don't want to go back to God. That's you people do it. I don't. So Pranamaya consciousness, you're happy with the prestige and acceptance and all that. Then if your ability to grow in consciousness comes to Manomaya consciousness. Manomaya is mental. The mental thing you start wondering of, how can I be happy? What is happiness? You start, you start working on, other finer things, things like poetry, art, things like that, finer items, you start thinking of qualitative, the quality of your life, not so much of, the thing, go with the quality.
Jnani.
Yeah, Jnani, you come to the Jnani. So that gives the Manomaya, mental speculation. You get into the mental speculative realm. Now, if you've got the luxury of erasing your consciousness, then you come to Vijnana Maya consciousness. Vijnana Maya consciousness means that consciousness is now you're starting to understand who am I, what is the purpose of life, and things like that. You're starting to ask some questions. But there also, that also is a Jnani position. You're trying to find out answers which are not there. You're also trying to find answers within this world. You're neti and things like that, those kind of philosophy. Then finally, you come to Anandamaya consciousness. Prabhupada says these four consciousness, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya are all material consciousness. They are all material consciousness. It's only Anandamaya consciousness which is spiritual. So now to raise yourself to Anandamaya consciousness, you have to have the facilities, you have to have the time, you have to have the time to introspect, you have to have the bandwidth to be able to spend that time to say, what am I doing? What is my life about? So therefore, what is happening is, while Harinam is the simplest way to attract Krishna's attention and for us to get Krishna, to chant Harinam, some of these things. So that's what Prabhupada later on felt. In the early days, he insisted everybody shave up, join a temple. Everybody shave up, join a temple. In the 60s and 70s, there was no grihasthas at all. Grihasthas only started coming after some time when he started finding that people could not keep the brahmachari status. They could not, they were, even though joined as brahmacharis, their thing, what do you call it? Samskara or the swartha giti, the swartha gati, their swartha, their thing, where's it up? Not motives, what do we
Tendencies.
Yeah, Sukriti, I mean, their ability to stay brahmachari was not, they were not peaceful being brahmachari, let's put it that way. They were not being peaceful being brahmacharis. So then the question of marriage started coming in. Now, when you get married, now once you get married, you need a source of income to maintain the family. I joined as a brahmachari, I gave up my schooling, I gave up my college, I don't have an education. So the first generation of devotees who started becoming householders, they started finding it difficult to live outside the temple, and how do they maintain themselves? So when I meet a lot of Prabhupada disciples, I talk to them and say, how did you manage to transition that? So then they have to start finding ways to maintain themselves and all that. Some went back to college and then got a degree and then got a job, things like that. And it was difficult, this thing. So the point is that So that's when Prabhupada realized that when that started happening, Prabhupada realized that, you know what, this Daivi Varnashram system is actually the platform on which Harinam can be done, because everybody is then properly engaged. So it's not an option, it is just a thing of, if we have the bandwidth, we should make it happen. If for the future generations, if we want the future generations to actually be able to, say for example, the way the Daivi Varnashram system works is now brahmachari, now he's thing. Now, if somebody has got the capacity to say, you know what, I will dedicate my life to Krishna consciousness, thing. But that person also needs maintenance. That person will need the dhoti, that person will need some, that center will have to be maintained. You need to pay rent for the center if you're not bought the center, if not bought the center, and then the boga needs money. So who does that? The grihasthas. If you notice the way it is done is, the grihasthas are not grihvedis. The grihvedis are ones who live for their own sense gratification. The grihasthas are ones who actually, what they do is, they earn about $2 million a month, but they eat only for 5,000 rupees a month. They, for their own personal expenses, they need only 5,000 rupees a month. But their earning capacity is $2 million a month. So the rest of the 1 million, whatever, etc., whatever zeros you want for mathematics, is for spreading Krishna consciousness. So the grihasthas are needed. I might be quoting this wrong, but I might misquoting it. But this is what I remember. Radhesham Prabhu, in the early days when he was building the center in Pune, he had tons of brahmacharis, all of them. He's so expert a preacher that he was having tons of things. Brahmachari. Then I believe Radhanath, this is how I heard it. I may be wrong, so don't. If I'm wrong, I can be corrected. Radhanath Maharaj then told him that it's very unhealthy to have only brahmacharis in your congregation, in the Sikh center. You need a congregation of grihasthas also, because they will come and do other services, supporting services, the organization, the financing, and everything. You need grihasthas for that. And then you need vanapras to do other services, and then you need sannyasis and all of those. So all orders of life and all varnas are required to support a society. Because when you say a society, Krishna himself created this varnashram system according to guna and karma. He himself created that. So if we say that we don't need a society, we just need only preaching centers, it's going against Krishna's rules. Krishna himself said, you need a society of grihasthas, you need a society of vanapras, you need a society of sannyasis, you need a society of brahmanas, you need a society of vaishyas and all those orders of life are needed for a healthy society. Today what is happening is, actually Prabhupada called ISKCON, he said, we are a protest movement. He called us in this lecture in Stockholm. He says, we are a protest movement. The government is killing us with all these taxes. They're taking away, they're making it so difficult for people to farm the land. The farmers are coming to cities and working as shudras everywhere. They're working for just this little money. They're giving up their lands and the lands are going to. We are a protest movement and we are saying, no, we will not sign up to this being treated by the government. We will go away. We'll go away from electricity. We'll go away from all this, that kind of thing. He said, we are supposed to protest this lifestyle. The problem we have today is that all of us, unfortunately, we don't know how to live on a farm. If I go on a farm, I don't know the difference between a weed and a plant. We have Bobika here who's with us in Minneapolis, and very often I always have I'm gets shouted by her because every time at the back it's about half an acre almost, half an acre. Like that. No, not quarters, but 1/3 of an acre, let's say, backyard is there. So there are some things growing, only grass, and then at the corners we plant some vegetables, some cabbage, some spinach, or something that little bit. So I don't know the difference between, sometimes I pull the whole cabbage plant and then I get screamed at, you pull the whole cabbage. I said, it looks like a weed. That's not a weed, it's a cabbage plant. And I said, then why didn't you take out the weed? She doesn't want to take out the weed. And she doesn't allow me to take out the weed. So sometimes the cabbage plant gets covered by the weed and no cabbage comes. So only the cabbage plant is, there's no cabbage from it. So It's difficult. Any of us, we know how to sit on laptop. That's all we know. We're all IT engineers.
Prabhuji here, initially when Prabhupada went to the for Bhakti principles completely not Bhakti principles. But Prabhupada created like these centers and like structure he created, organized. Now once if anyone comes, it's proper organized structure. If someone enters, just couple of days, the process still takes into the devotees level. Like that, if something system like that created model and give more emphasis on that, even if you don't know, interested people will come and train and they become.
And we have seen so many times, Prabhu, especially if we have good farm communities that's set up as a model. For example, I remember in New Zealand, it had 80 acres of land, but we were not very good at setting up a farm community. We still had a lot of modern mechanism. We had dishwashers, washing machine and all that. But if you want to do that, what happens is people would come from the city, from Auckland in the city. This farm was 26 kilometers away from the city. People were coming and they were living at the farm for say the weekend. They will live on the farm for the weekend, or they will live for a week, and they will learn how to grow food. So people are waiting. They just want something to set it up, and then they'll say, "Okay, I'll come and help. I'll come and help. I'll come and help." So they'll come, but we don't have anything set up for them. We don't have people to experience. So you buy from some 5-10 acres of land somewhere and say, "Okay, Prabhuji and Mataji, come on. Once a month we'll all go together and put some take out bees or something." You see that, and then after that have a pizza dinner there, pizza and make pizzas and have pav bhaji, whatever you can have. So the point is we don't have but we can't set it up. We don't have the time. We are busy maintaining our own families. We don't have time for that. So if somebody does set it up, somebody has the flexibility, somebody has the income, somebody has the property. Somebody says, "I'm going to sell my Tesla car and buy a farm." Great, thank you very much for working. So anybody having Tesla car here today? No sitting friends? Volkswagen? Let's get down. Anybody having Maruti Suzuki, sell that. Anybody having Maruti Suzuki, please sell that and buy a farm. So that's the thing, Prabhu. If somebody sets it up, people are willing. It's almost like us. We want Krishna, but we can't have Krishna. Why? Because I have to go and maintain my family. It's not that we don't want Krishna. We would like to have Krishna, but maintain our family is taking so much of our time, so much of our energy. How will I want Krishna from that?
Truly enlightening. Thanks.
Does it make sense? That we're not going contrary to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principles of chanting Hare Krishna and go back. We are not going contrary to that at all. What we are saying is that there has to be a system.
Eco-friendly.
It has to be the ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
The reason so many people are able to come is because somebody is running Prabhuji he's running the center. He's dedicating his life to do the puja every day. We can come and go and we can say Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice, thank you very much, let's go. And have prasadam. Some Prabhu has to do puja every day, some Prabhu has to be the temple president, some Prabhu has to get the finances and say rent has been paid, the bhoga has been bought. So because of that, we can just come and say, Prabhu, okay, I'll clean this area and then go on. Prabhu, I did devotional. I just clean this and go away and say I did devotional service today. I rolled the mat and I did devotional service. The center doesn't run by only rolling the mat. How much effort goes to run one center? A lot of effort. And that's why people are coming, because the center is already made and ready. I have to just come, eat prasad and go. Ask the Kirtan and go. And when after some time, after 2 years, this is something I want to tell. This Tushka Prabhu is a temple president in Denver temple. Very good friend of mine. We were joking about it. When he first started coming to the temple in Laguna Beach in California, he first started coming to the temple many years ago. So he used to go what's that word? Surfing. He used to go surfing. I don't know you people, because you're in Bangalore, but if you're by the sea, there are these people who go surfing, so they take the surfboard. So he used to do surfing. So what he would do is he would take a surfboard that he had, and you're wearing your what do you call it, shorts, your swimming trunk and surfboard and all. So our friend would take the soapboard and come straight to the temple. He would be serving till 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock he would come to temple. Guess why? Huh? Prasad. So he knew at 1 o'clock, he knew that Rajboka opening is done at 12:30. 1 o'clock is prasadam. So he'd come at 1 o'clock straight to the Narguna Beach temple, eat prasadam, and just say Haribol, Haribol. He knew that, and those people knew him. So he would say Haribol, Haribol, and go away. 2 years he did that. 2 years. He kept coming to the temple having prasadam, and going. Coming temple, Haribol, Haribol. Then after some time, he himself got it out. These people are feeding me. They don't ask me anything. They don't tell me anything. How come? Then he asked that Bada Haridas was his name. He was in charge of that center at the time. So he asked him, Prabhu, what exactly do you people do? I mean, you just feed people, or what's it you do? I mean, 2 years of prasadam. The prasadam had to contaminate him. The prasadam had to contaminate him. Otherwise, he was so pure a devotee that he didn't follow that. So after 2 years of prasadam, then he says, what do you actually do? I mean, you come, I come here, I eat prasadam, you say, very nice, welcome, you welcome me, feed me and send me away. What exactly do you people do? Then he said, no, we read Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna is a supreme person, Godhead. Really, what is that Bhagavad Gita? He said, no, we have classes, would you like to? Ah, yes, he said. From there, he's now the temple president of Denver Temple. All he did was come and eat prasadam and go for 2 years. That's life, Prabhu. So I don't know how many of you will be temple presidents the next time I come here. But that is what life is. Life is like that. So we are not against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principles of Harina. Not at all. We need the foundation for people to start peacefully. And for these children to, look at this fellow, his school bag is bigger than him. I mean, I don't know whether he will survive even 10th standard. I at least managed to pass SSLC. He would not even survive till he probably died before that. He'll be going to school and the bag is so big, the books are so much that by the time you go out, combine itself, you'll beat it. If there's no time to chant Hare Krishna, Prabhu, don't worry, it doesn't happen. I hope it is making sense. So it's not a this thing. We need to get together and actually get to the next stage of devotional life. We have already opened 6 centers here under ISKCON Oilfield. We now need to open other facilities for other devotees to create some service for them. In terms of we should grow our own meat and flour and all things like that. We should do something. The preaching centers are good, but we have to do more than that, because if we want the future generations to be peaceful to chant, they need some other opportunities.
Also to run these centers also.
Yeah.
And to explain more.
Yeah. To run the centers, they have to be peaceful. Yeah. Something, Prabhu, did you have something to say? You're finishing up?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
You're going to give an introduction now?
Somehow we have a feedback mechanism, and we got a feedback that Prabhu was not introduced. I said, let me take this opportunity.
No, before that, I want to tell you one more thing. You see, the first time I went from Bombay to Uttar Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, the state in India. In that place, everything is done opposite. So it's called Ulta Pradesh. So it's nice for introduction to come after the speech.
But since we are in the South India, so maybe exactly opposite of Ulta. So we are very happy and great fortune that we had with us His Grace Purnendu Krishna Prabhu. You would have seen that how I came to Krishna consciousness, right? So many devotees have a unique story, and Prabhu has his unique story, what I see now here. So Prabhu, as an industrialist engineer, he started and became a management consultant, and he was dealing with many international consultant, and he happened. So sometimes we get in trick, right? But that trick was a transcendental trick, and Prabhu was transcendental trick to have in New Zealand in a temple for 9 months, and when he was the peak of his career. And somehow, right, once you come into Krishna consciousness, and devotee will peak immediately and say, start chanting Hare Krishna Maha. and you are not the body, but you are a spirit soul, and you are chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And somehow Prabhu got introduced to Krishna consciousness during that 9 months. And when he was peak of his career, he actually gave up his career. And that career was not something like an easy career or something that any materialist person would aspire for, to that, having consultants or having the customers all over the international level. And Prabhu left everything to serve his Guru Maharaj, his Goddess Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. And since then, he dedicated his life to follow teachings of Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. And especially the motto of Prabhu's and especially his wife Mataji,
Wife, Mataji.
Her Grace Anuswaya Mataji, and their motto, like the motto of their life is practice, not just to preach. Right? We have heard that, right? Sometimes we just go into the preaching mode, but not walk the talk. But Prabhuji and Mataji is just like exactly that opposite, walk the talk. And their counseling is so famous that if you go to anybody, they will tell that it's very practical, based on the teachings of Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, and and if they ask them, they will say that their counseling is so candid, and they have only one thing for Prabhu and Mataji is the gratitude. So you can understand that touching the many lives, the life of the people. Not only that, Prabhu started the Ratha Yatra, right? And where did he start? He was instrumental in starting Ratha Yatra. Any guess? Minneapolis. Very good. And you know what Prabhu and Mataji currently doing? Along with his preaching and many very special and unique project that they are handling.
Farming.
Nice. Thanks, Mataji. Prabhuji and Mataji are cooking and distributing very delicious pakora and kachori, samosa, and touching the many lives of Minnesota's, right? Minnesota's the devotees. So probably we'll also get opportunity.
If anybody would like to come to Minnesota, please let us know. We run this, actually, the thing is, we run this thing called Krishna's Delight. We do farmers market. In the US, you have this thing called farmers market every weekend. So we run 5 farmers markets. There, what we do is we do ektan paneer sabji, brown rice, sometimes dal makhani and all that. And then pakoras, samosas, mango lassis. We distribute about 600 to 800 samosas per week, some 200 gallons, what means about 4,000 liters of mango lassis per week in all these places. So between the 3 of us, between Anasya, Gopika, and myself, we do the preparation, we do all the cooking during the week, and then on weekends we go to the markets and then we kind of think. And the number of people who have come, all Westerners, all Americans only, they cry. Sometimes, we don't go to the market one day, they start crying. They say, you didn't come that day, what happened? They've all become addicts. And many of these people, by the way, talking practically, one girl, young girl, she comes on Saturdays at the Midtown market. She told us this. She said, "Sir, we are only coming here because the minute we come, I take your samosa, your pakora, or your eggplant paneer, or your chole, rice and chole, whenever I eat anything you make, whatever you make, it is filled with so much love that I just feel like, I come very depressed and I go back very happy." This is very interesting that happened. Because there are 4 markets, there's one market called Northeast. In that market, what happened is, I don't go to that Northeast market, usually Gopika is there, and Anasya and myself stay in the other Midtown market. But I sometimes go over to Northeast to see if there's something to be done and all. So I went over to the Northeast market, and interestingly, what happened is there was a boy going across, and he was looking lost. Then I kind of, hey, buddy, come on here, come here. Then I managed to someone give him a sample of ektan paneer and all that. Then someone said, okay, I'll take that. He took it, and then he went. And then I forgot about it and came away. I don't go every week, but then 2 or 3 weeks I happened to go back to the Northeast market. There again, what happened is this boy happened to come. that time. And he tapped on me. He said, "Do you recognize me now?" I didn't recognize him. I didn't people. So I said, "I can over here. You can." He said, two or 3 weeks ago, you somehow, convinced me to come and taste your food. And I liked it so much, I took it. And I went home. Now, he said, when I was coming, talking about Harinam and Prasad, he said, when I was coming here to the thing, I was actually contemplating suicide. I was actually contemplating suicide. I was really depressed. I was really sad. But I thought just before, I'll just live across. He said, I don't live very far from that apartment you see, I'm living there. I said, oh, okay. He said, I was contemplating suicide. What happened is that I don't know why you forced me. I mean, I was not interested, but you have this way of pulling people to you. So, I mean, I'm a marketing person in a sense. I'm only good at marketing. I'm not good at being a devotee. So he said, you pulled me to your stall. You pulled me to your stall. And I somehow I hated. And I saw just before coming to Sri, let's come to the market. I saw all these people happy, they were buying all this, they were buying vegetables, they were eating all this nice food, there's so many food, different food stalls are there. Somebody selling momos, somebody selling something, pizza, somebody's selling muffins. So there are different food stalls. We are not the only ones. So there are 40, 50 vendors. So he said, I came to your stall and someone ate the thing. And I saw everybody was so happy, and I got even further depressed. How can people be happy when I'm depressed? He said, how can people be happy when I'm depressed? So I got even further depressed. I said, this is nuts. But somehow you pulled me in. I don't know what happened. And I ate a thing. I went home, and then I suddenly realized that I was very happy for some reason. I don't know why I was so happy. And all thoughts of suicide went away. Today, for some reason, now every Saturday, I'm coming here and eating. I don't care what else I do. I'm coming here and eating. I said, it's something called divine food. We say that serving, our motto actually is serving and stealing your hearts with divine delights, correct? What is it? Stealing your hearts with divine delights. So stealing your hearts with divine delights. And invariably, people have come and told us, you have stolen our hearts. Talking about hearts, you have stolen our hearts with divine delights. I didn't want to, but that's a practical thing that we have experienced. Pratap can be so powerful. It takes consciousness of people, and people are feeling that, that love, and that, and it's because Krishna, that saliva, that's enough. I don't tell them that. You're eating your Krishna saliva. You're eating Krishna Mahaprasad. If I tell them that, the poor Westerner, don't record that. I wonder what is happening. I'm eating somebody else's food.
So we have read in Srila Prabhupada books that how Krishna Prasadam can transform one's life. And here is a live example Prabhu has demonstrated. So that definitely increases and enhances our confidence and faith in Srila Prabhupada books and Srila Prabhupada words. When we follow Srila Prabhupada's words as it is, and this is what happens. So we would have heard the stories about the book distribution, we would have heard the stories about many things, but here is an example that how Prasadam, we can see that it appears so simple. What is so big deal in that Prasadam? But it can actually transform a person, and person going to suicide his life, terminating his life, and living a life. What example, what miraculous example do we want to see the glories of Prasadam? So thanks to Prabhu being with us, and we are so grateful. And we hope that thanks to Raghavendra Prabhu that he got us this opportunity, that we get very often this opportunity and hear from Prabhu's glories about Prasadam, glories about Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you very much. So let's Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So upcoming festival. What is the upcoming festival now for all of us? Now we are going to celebrate, but the surprise is there. So we will not reveal now where and how we are going to celebrate, because that enthusiasm has to be increased. So don't ask Prabhu where, because then otherwise all this surprise will be revealed. But we will not revealing surprise now. Second thing that coming today is the last day for Shiksha registration. Those who have not done, please make sure that you do that. And 4th of February, we'll have the written text for Srila Prabhupada Ashray. And 5th of February, we'll have the Siksha ceremony here. So that's the some announcement. And anybody coming first time to our center here? Please stand up and we'll receive a gift from Prabhu.
I'm sorry, I hope it, he's probably okay, he's first time. So
Please stand up. So, of course, not the gift directly, you might be expecting a pakora or samosa. Some other gifts.
Yeah, thank God, you corrected.
Because I know we'll be expecting that.
Go to kitchen, start making.
Eradu, Mood. So we have this program every Sunday, for that matter, every day, but especially Sunday, we have all the congregation coming together and having Arati together, reading Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. And the night after that, you know what's going to happen after that. So request, please come forward, and I request Prabhu to hand over this gift to each one of you. Please come forward, Prabhu Mataji. Small gift from our center. Haribo. Okay. So now we'll have a Narasimha Arati, followed by Mahaprasad.
Take care. Thank you for coming.
I don't know how long the video was. Say not that long, it was like this. 15 minutes all of the
श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय।